OK, well, let's take a look at what might happen next in terms of who might replace Boris Johnson as Prime Minister of the UK. Professor Ford, there's a new YouGov poll out in the last hour or so. It's got Ben Wallace, the former Defence Minister, or the Defence Minister, I can't remember if he's in or out of office at the moment, Penny Mordaunt, Rishi Sunak in third place, Liz Truss, Michael Gove, and now we know he's not in the running. I mean, the list goes on. Priti Patel quite low down the list. Just wondering your thoughts at this stage. I mean, who, for an international audience, people we might know and people might know around the world, who stands out as being really strong potential prime ministerial material?
Well, part of the problem that the Conservative Party now have is that there is no clear front runner here. There are a number of candidates who have now a reasonably high profile from having done big jobs, Liz Truss, Rishi Sunak, Sajid Javid, Priti Patel, and so on. But on the other hand, any candidate who wins this race needs to basically win the race with two very different audiences. First, Conservative Party MPs, who will choose the final two candidates that get taken to the membership, assuming there are still two in the running at that point. There weren't two in the running, for example, when Theresa May took over because the second one dropped out. And then Conservative Party members. Now, I'm not sure if this YouGov poll is of Conservative members or the public at large. If it's of the public at large, it's largely irrelevant to the race because the public at large don't get any voice in this. The problem that Conservatives have is there isn't any obvious person who can unite what is now a very big tent, a very broad and fractious party. So it's not clear who they will rally around in Parliament. And then it is not clear either who members will prefer. The membership polls in recent months, and there have been a lot of them because of Johnson's troubles, have shown a great scattering of support across half a dozen or more candidates. So I would argue this is one of the most open and unpredictable leadership contests in living memory.
Yeah, indeed. And I should just add that I've looked at the key, and it was, in fact, just Conservative Party members, 716 of them in that poll, which puts Ben Wallace in pole
good
position.
News for Ben Wallace, then.
Indeed. But it is, I mean, the gaps are really not great, separating all the various front runners. So, as you say, it's a crowded race to be heading up the Conservative Party. Doug, I mean, we're talking here about Boris Johnson, a man of 58. He's been Prime Minister for 3 years. This is pretty much the end of his political career, isn't it?
Yeah, and the end of his political career, if it is in fact that, coming at a relatively young age. You know, in politics these days, many older leaders who are, most prominently Joe Biden, who is 79. But look, where does he go from here? Look, leaders political leaders are hardly done and dusted as people who contribute in some way to society after they're out of power, if they want to assume those roles. I think that Boris Johnson is a type who will probably be a popular figure given his sort of charismatic persona. Very jocular, very outgoing, gregarious on the lecture circuit. We're probably going to see him popping up left and right. Remember, he's now a practical hero in Ukraine, and he probably is now going to try to devote himself and attach himself and associate himself with those causes where he thinks he has the greatest chance of shoring up a sort of more shining legacy, and he's going to gloss over the so-called, the weaker points in his premiership, the things he doesn't want to harp on too much. So, I wouldn't be surprised, to see him turning up as a respected, keynote speaker at a lot of events and forums, especially when it comes to this war in Ukraine, which doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon, quietly into the night. Looking forward on the Brexit issue, it's going to be interesting because, while he would not concede it, the economists are saying that Britain could be tipping into a recession soon, that the post-Brexit damage is really starting only now to really come to the fore and become evident to more and more people to see, including those within the Tory ranks, which is perhaps why he didn't actually talk that much about Brexit in his stepping down speech earlier, focused a lot more on Ukraine in that sense. And I think in his wake, one of the things people are going to be looking for right now is perhaps, and we've actually had from Ireland's Prime Minister a sort of an appeal perhaps for Boris Johnson in his final months before he does leave power to perhaps reconsider his stance on things like the Northern Ireland Protocol, revamping them, unpicking it, a protocol that was devised really to protect the viability of the Good Friday Agreement in the Republic of Ireland on that border. So, you know, that's going to be very much front and center in the looking beyond Boris Johnson after he actually steps down. We've had Michel Barnier, who was a former Brexit minister here, also saying perhaps that this will open a new chapter in EU-UK relations, hoping as much at least, though others point out that some of the top contenders for the leadership position in the UK are perhaps even tougher when it comes to UK-EU relations than Boris Johnson himself was.
OK, thanks for that, Doug. We're going to move on now, but just a quick urgent we're receiving here again from the Daily Mail, the Deputy Prime Minister Dominic Raab not going to run to replace Johnson, although many expect him to stand in as a caretaker figure during the transition.